There once was a girl from Nantucket who kept her whole heart in a bucket.
You got this.
How did you encounter Elizabeth Narcisso's script? And what element did you feel the most essential about in communicating the story?
I know Elizabeth Narciso because she and I work in a women's theater writers group. So she's one of the writers of they're tremendous voices, and I'm one of the directors. I don't purport to be a writer in any way. Leave it to the experts for sure. And then she said, I have this film, and they actually had another director, so I was a replacement. But I'm so flattered that they asked me. I loved the magical realism in this script, of course, and I loved that it was telling a story about two sisters. I'm one of many sisters, and I'm the oldest, and my sisters are my touchstone in my life, so it felt like this was a story I could really tell, but I really wanted to bring that element of surprise, the different things that happen to Zoe, the main character, and just sort of how she's dealing with this traumatic event in her life, hopefully through, I think through some comedy and drama. So yeah, that was my favorite element of the script.
How did Malka Wallach and Mara Casson become the choices to portray the sisters? What was it about them that connected to the film and each other?
Elizabeth Narciso actually wrote this for Malka Wallach. So Malka is the lead producer on this, and she has a company called Girl Gang Productions. And she's really trying to put work out there in the world that is for women and by women. And so I think Malka had just such a clear vision of the kind of story she wanted to tell, and Elizabeth Narciso. And then I brought Mara Casson on. Mara had done a film with me called Ladies Lounge, which is a really fun, weird little thriller about a date gone bad and actually uses magical realism too. So I knew Mara had that kind of taste. I knew she would be down to play around in something like this. And actually, Mara, I think, is an incredible asset, not only as an actress, but Mara Casson has an Academy Award. She's quite fancy, actually. She produced many years ago a short film that won the Academy Award called Curfew. And I knew that her sensibility would fit right in with this. And she and Malka actually really look like sisters.
They do.
They have a similar background. So I thought, okay, this is a good fit.
Great casting. Okay, so the film uses metaphors for the loss of a loved one. What intrigued you about the metaphors of klutz? And how did you want cinema to explain them?
I felt like one thing in this world is it's inevitable. We're all going to have loss. We're all going to have heartbreaking events. I personally had gone through something pretty heartbreaking about a year before I made this film. And I thought visually, we can show somebody falling down, and then how are they bringing themselves back up? And then also what's great about Elizabeth's script is, when do they choose to fall down too? When do they sort of take matters into their own hands, and something that you would think is a negative becomes a positive, because it actually sort of going through the fire, mixing my metaphors, but really going through that spill, right, will make me stronger when I finally stand back up and I achieve the thing that I was meant to do. And then, we can talk about it, but like, isn't it great to physically see that fall, to see that, and then see that person hover as well, to see that person transcend too.
We often encounter those we've lost in dreams, the subconscious world we have no control over. Since you have something similar in klutz, how did you want to approach it without it being a cliche?
She's a little bit between dream and reality, right? Because sometimes in dreams, things are so unclear, and the information that she gets in the dream waking state, that sort of altered reality, is here's what you must do next. Your next step must be this. And it's really a push, you know, that Mara's character is giving Malka. You know, she's saying, you're stuck in limbo. Get out of limbo. It's not serving you anymore. And I've always really felt like dreams are incredible. My dreams are very vivid and very powerful. I wonder, I would love to know more about what other people's experiences are with dreams. But for me, that was something about the film that was a real turning point, and we could make that. And I love that. I love how we ended up shooting it, that she sort of appears, you know, the light gets turned on and then all of a sudden her sister is there.
Yeah.
Because it feels like that too. Like you'll be having a dream, or you'll be thinking about something, and then all of a sudden that thing that you've been trying to push down or run away from, it just pops right back up, right? So
beautiful.
That, I hope that felt new in some way.
The authority figures of the various publishing houses were brightly, almost comically portrayed. Is this the attitude that you perceive the younger, maybe Gen Z workers or creatives invariably encounter? And what do you think is the problem of those authority figures?
That's an interesting take on it. The way I see those authority figures are almost the business of art, right? That actually, you know, I certainly have felt a lot of rejection in my artistic career. Is another way of pushing you down. It's another way of being a klutz, right? It's another way of getting knocked over by the system, and so desperately wanting to belong to something that is not accepting you, right? So what I think of it is this sort of loop of rejection that this character is experiencing, and embodied beautifully by those three actors. I mean, we were so lucky with our cast, truly. Great cast. But what we feel as an artist is, am I ever going to break through? Is anybody ever going to understand me and what my point of view and what I'm trying to say? And I think that's the relief, you know, that the character Zoe feels by the end of the film, is that she is seen, you know, in the way she wants to be seen. She can tell the story of her sister in a way that makes sense to her, not in a way that has been sort of prefabricated.
What are your views on the afterlife, and how is that communicated in klutz?
Well, I was brought up Catholic, and I'm Mexican on one side and Italian on the other. So like that's super Catholic, actually. I do believe in an afterlife, and I always thought it meant something in the sky or something, you know, above us. And now I actually have a more or less stringent version of that. You know, I feel like the people I've lost are still around me. They're still with me. You know, I talk to lots of people who I've lost and check in with them. And you know, now to me, heaven is more of a state of being as opposed to like an actual location. But I do, you know, I think what we do with the film a little bit is when she's floating, there's this chance that this character, it might be taking off for another place. Do you know what I mean? That she might not be tethered to the earth anymore. Right. And she is in this liminal space of potentially taking off like her sister did. Some of my little Catholic upbringing is in that sky place, you know, is shown in the film, I think, because of the way we chose to show it. You know, I hope that forgiveness is possible. I hope that acceptance is possible. I believe in a benevolent God, and you know, I also see God in people every day, and I'm so grateful that I get to be somebody who creates, you know. And I think that my job is, as an artist, is to kind of help people heal and deal with things that are almost unspeakable, you know. So that's maybe that's my view of like sort of acceptance and love and heaven, is that you know, to create things that help us kind of grapple with things that seem bigger than us, you know, that we can't explain necessarily. maybe that's why I like magical realism so much. It's because it's not terra firma, you know, it's not in a living room. It's all over the place, and it's in our mind and in the subconscious too.
Finally, what are your future creative plans, and when can we expect another film release from you? Is there a feature in your future?
I did direct my first feature. I'm so pleased to say. It premiered at the Brooklyn Film Festival this summer, and it has a festival run happening. But I am directing my second and third feature this spring and summer. So, you know, I'm very grateful. The work is rolling in now, and we're all getting back to work safely. And I love storytelling. I love connecting with an audience. And, you know, if we weren't here sitting talking about klutz right now, I wouldn't be able to fully understand you better, Patrick, as a person, you know, and you might not have heard that about my nephew. It's just so compelling how this art form connects us. And I think that is, you know, that is the kind of work I want to be doing, is the work that connects people. So I'm really excited to have work out in the world, and I have some films on Amazon. I hope people will check them out. But
well, let's name those films so they could check them out.
So some of my short films include Miracle Baby and Ladies Lounge and The New 35. And I would love for people to get curious about me and other independent filmmakers. You know, there are a lot of awesome stories out there being told. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2021.